Hello everyone. So today I'm going to be talking about what I believe is one of the most important shadow values in illustrations. Now there's a number of reasons why it is, but we're going to talk about what it is, and then we're going to go in and show how to use it in quick, easy examples and what it looks like in a full illustration. First off, we're going to start off with what it is. The most important shadow to actually give your illustration depth as well as surface retention and difference between different objects is the occlusion shadow or value. Now, if you're looking at the illustration right now, you probably can't see it because of the reason that you're used to this image. But watch as I remove that right away. Do you see the difference? What about without the line work that's on here? So we'll zoom in here on the middle character, Anakin, and then we're going to add the occlusion. Do you see the difference now? So the occlusion shadow is the darkest part of the illustration where two surfaces or objects are closely blocked together. Now, what does that mean? Well, if you go to a sphere or like this one and need an example, you can actually see it with how different things react. We're going to go based off of what a sphere looks like when it comes to the sphere and the ground. Now, that's going to be right here, okay? So what happens is what light does to objects is it hits the object and then goes to your eye. So it bounces and goes to your eye. Wherever your eye is, that's where it's going to be the brightest. Now what happens with occlusion is that the light jumps down, hits the floor, or goes further back and hits outside of the shadow, goes back down, hits, and just keeps bouncing because light particles bounce because they're going at billions of miles an hour. And they just keep bouncing. And by the time they get out, you're not getting much from the light to actually show up in your eyes or your retinas. And that's when you can actually go down and try to show off what the occlusion would be. So if we go down below this and we add the occlusion, you can tell the shape very easily, and you can fix it up here and there just to make it work with the shape. But with and without the occlusion, you can see the shape and its relativity between the ground and itself. Now, if we go to something like two spheres where you can't really see what's going on, you can then add values and still get kind of an idea of what's going on. But it's not until you get into the occlusion where you can actually tell what's going on. And you can actually use line art to help out with this and get those crisp occlusion lines that you really want to do. And then erase without getting as close to the lines as possible, and then take away the line art, and you can see the shapes without the line art. And go from there. And look at that. You can tell that they're two different objects. Now the cool thing is that if you start fading this a bit, it can actually tell how close the objects are in relativity to each other. And that is where you can mess with the occlusion and try to give, lighter touches here and there to give it a closely or further back appearance. Now, how does this deal with line art? Well, if you go into with a line art brush, right, and you let's just take out the occlusion that I just did. Go up and just try to match the line art that I did, the shape line that I did earlier. How can you represent occlusion with line art? Well, you can start out thin. start pushing harder when you get to those overlapping shapes as a quick example. And go back to doing that. And look at that. The lines can actually show you where the occlusion is located and how they are relative to the two different objects that you are illustrating in your different illustrations that you're going to be working on. And try doing sphere practices with this, of course, and trying to get through that. So when you go back to this, you can tell why the line art that I have is not just like helping out the occlusion, but also the occlusion can be left on its own if I so chose. I can actually use this as a base instead of the line art and continue on with this illustration. So that's why I think that the occlusion shadow in cast shadows are probably the most important piece besides your core shadow. The core shadow is a whole nother thing, and I've gone over that in my past video, but let me know if this video helps you out. And if it does, like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you all again in the next video. Thank you so much, and bye-bye!